I'm just wanting to get together with friends and just find out more about them.
Okay.
So, this is Jim, my friend. He's a golfer and my neighbor and my friend.
Yes.
And I know some things about you, and I'd like for you to share because you're very athletic. You have been very athletic. So, what all sports have you played and what do you like?
Once upon a time, way back, uh, my sport of choice was basketball. So I played basketball from the time I was in the sixth grade until I was a freshman in college. So,
But I hear you were really good.
you know, that's a kind of interesting story because when I had a growth spurt when I was in the sixth grade, so I was the biggest kid on the basketball court in the sixth grade. I was like Lucius Allen, or I was really big.
Well, I don't know who Lucius Allen is, but that's okay.
A tall player.
Oh,
And by the time I finished in high school, by the time I was a freshman in high school, I was the smallest guy on the basketball court. So I learned the whole game of basketball from being the big guy to the little guy. And so I had the whole perspective of this game. So I was very fortunate that I could shoot and I could make free throws and I could rebound. I could dunk a basketball. I was a small guy, but I could dunk a basketball.
how tall were you then?
But well, taller than I am now.
I know. I thought.
I was 5'10", and that was probably, if your ruler was a little off, but I was probably 5'10".
And so you could dunk it.
Yeah, I was had pretty good jumping abilities. I could high jump and doing track and field and that kind of stuff. And so
And you had a scholarship to college for basketball and
I
football.
had a scholarship for an interesting story. I had two scholarships to football, which I didn't really love. I was pretty good at football because I was bigger than most people when I was in high school.
Did you go to school where they're all midgets or something?
Kinda. I think there was only about 300 students, so there were a lot of midgets. And yes, Mary, thank you, thank you. Um, but when
Say,
I got two football scholarships, two, one to KU, which was a big
wow.
deal. KU was a terrible football team at that time, and I looked at the perspective of this. I said, if I go to KU to play football, I'm liable to end up a paraplegic or some other
Oh.
malformed person. So I said, no, I won't do that. The other scholarship I got was to Wichita State University. And I actually considered that. And then I decided no, because I had a letter of intent to play at the University of Missouri in Columbia.
Yeah.
And so I said, well, I'll pick basketball over football. Had I taken the football scholarship that year that I would have taken it, a plane crash killed the entire football team.
Oh gosh.
So it probably wasn't, it was a good choice on my part.
Probably an excellent choice on your part.
Yeah,
You're very wise.
I was lucky.
A lot of wisdom.
Lot of luck, a lot of
But you didn't go to Mizzou.
I did go to Mizzou.
You
Went to
did?
Mizzou, and so when it came time to try out for the basketball team, which I absolutely loved, and uh, there were 12, no, there were 10 people who had scholarships, and there were probably 20 people who had letters of intent to play. So uh, they had tryouts.
So no, wait a minute. So if they have a letter of intent, that doesn't mean they're gonna get a scholarship?
They were
They're
kind
on
of,
second line.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
kind of like maybe. And so the 10 players went out and the coaches were there and they had the cameras and they were videotaping and there were five coaches writing things down. And then they were done and the cameras left and the coaches left and there were like 20 of us and it was like a pickup game. We played basketball. Nobody looked and we left and went home.
So you didn't know if you were gonna
Well, we certainly do because no one was there. So
oh,
it was, hey, thank you. Thanks for coming down to the gym. But
but you went ahead and went to
I stayed
school.
there for a year, and then I went to Buena Vista College in Storm Lake, Iowa, and I played basketball there for a year. I decided at that point in time that I probably wasn't gonna go to the NBA, and so I decided that maybe I should try to pick a career that I might be able to achieve.
The average height of an NBA player, what do you suppose it was?
Oh, 6'5", 6'5". Had I been 6'5", I would have gone to the NBA. I was that good.
You were that good.
I was that good. I scored I had the school scoring record at St. Pius X High School, and it was a funny story because I had 28 points in the first half, and that was the school scoring record prior to that time. Coach found out that I tied the school scoring record. He sent me in for one play in the second half. I was there for 5 seconds, scored a bucket. Took me out, and I never played the second half again. I averaged probably 20 points a game, and
Really? That's a lot.
that was a lot, yeah, for a little guy.
And so did you win most games?
We won a lot. We won our league, and we were in 2 leagues, and so we tied one and for the first place and won the other. And
So do you think that kind of sports, do you think playing sports made you more competitive or
it
more camaraderie, or what did it do for you?
it was the absolute reason why I had any achievement the rest of my life.
Really?
It was really important. It was a success story that you learned that you had to work, and if you worked and you succeeded, that bred more success, and so success begets success. And so at that point,
But you had to have some natural ability, not just a desire.
but I was the only person in my family that ever had any athletic skills, so
Maybe not.
maybe not. Maybe it was just luck. And then the people that I grew up with, I'm still friends with a lot of those people
Yeah.
today, 60, 70 years later,
And then what sports have you played besides golf? Because I think I introduced you as my friend and the golfer.
Yeah, well, as you get older, I played golf, I played tennis, and pretty soon the ravages of athletics began to take their toll as I grew older.
Yeah.
I had a total knee replacement, then I had 2 total hip replacements, then I had a total shoulder replacement. So some of those athletic events of running, which I did half marathons and those kinds of things when my family was young, and we played tennis and those kind of things. They had to go away because I couldn't do those things anymore. So that only left me for golf, and golf was.
And last year you got a hole in one.
I've had 3.
Uh-huh. And you told me that I hadn't congratulated you, but I didn't know about it till you informed me.
Yeah, well,
And then I didn't know what it meant.
yeah.
But it's pretty impressive. I've asked around since then. I still think you should have gotten a car.
It was one of those days where you hit a good shot and it went in the hole, but it was like whipped cream on manure that day because
Oh, that's a nice way to say it.
I played terrible golf that day with the exception of that one shot.
I don't know if I can understand what cream on manure would be.
Well, just maybe you ought to think so.
Slick?
No, it was just bad.
Clumpy?
It was bad.
Oh, good God.
Bad, and that was the only good part.
But you've had 3 hole-in-ones.
I have.
Is that pretty unusual?
Well, if you play enough golf, the chances are increased that you might get a hole in one periodically.
If you play 365 days.
Yeah, the more golf you play, the greater the likelihood.
And so recently you've taken up a new sport. And I probably shouldn't say this, particularly on the YouTube channel, but I thought you looked like a sissy because it was not the right colors for you.
You thought my picture that looked like I was 30 years younger than I am now.
No, it was the purple and pink bike and the purple and pink helmet.
Oh,
You probably need
you're
a black or a
you're talking about my
You're
new
right.
sport that I took up with
Yes.
biking.
yeah
Biking.
biking.
Yes, where I had the ladies' bike and the golf. The golf. I mean the helmet that
Yes.
doesn't fit quite right.
Right. The colors. I think a navy or a black.
Beggars can't be choosers.
But you've been doing that faithfully now.
I had, but when it rained yesterday, I couldn't do it. But usually speaking,
Is it helping?
I'm trying to stay physically fit as I grow older, and so golf helps that. And then now I'm trying to do some physical activity with back.
I'm impressed. I think it's great because it's going to affect your balance and everything.
Yeah, well, it better. If it doesn't, I'm in trouble. I'll need that helmet.
And I know also some other things about you. I know that you've been very successful as a father, and you've raised 4 sons,
4 sons. Yes.
and they've all done very well. What do you think is the secret about being successful at parenting?
I
Or maybe it's not a secret, but what do you think? What's the wisdom, or what do you think you did right? Or
yeah, I was around. I was there. I participated in as many things as I could in their lives as they grew up. So I think that has a lot to do with that situation. And they had the right stuff. I'll attribute that to their mother. They got most of the good stuff from their mother, and I was just there to kind of fill in a little bit. But they're all great kids, all of them. I couldn't. That is probably the biggest achievement of my life.
Well, and they know that, I think.
Hope so.
I do too, and if not, they will after this, if they care to ever look at this channel.
That's right.
Maybe nobody will watch it, I don't know.
Well, it could be me and you.
Yeah, you and I are at least this is great.
We're having
We
fun.
get to know you.
We're having fun.
And I know your wife, and I would love to have her sit and talk someday. She hasn't agreed to do that. You could help me get her talked into it, maybe, because it's really not a big deal.
She's pretty. She's a little gun shy. I think.
Yes,
She's a little,
yes, but not you.
No, no.
And you have a new website and podcast and some things that
I have a website. I haven't done the podcast yet, but
but you're going to.
I'm going to help. I'll get help with doing that.
Would you like to let people know where to find that?
Yeah, it's www.fatdiabetic, all one word.com.
Say that again.
www.fatdiabetic.com.
And so what's on that website?
Well, I don't, as you know, I have a special predisposition to taking care of people with type 2 diabetes. And so I've done that for 25 years. And I spent a great deal of my time trying to educate primary care physicians on the proper approach to taking care of diabetic patients. And and I did that as a local speaker, as a national speaker, as an international speaker. I was very fortunate to have been in the right place at the right time to be taught by just about everybody that's anybody in the world of diabetes. So when I finished my career, I was thoroughly, I had so much information that I just didn't think that I should let it go to seed. And maybe I could take a different view. Instead of trying to educate doctors, what if I could try to educate people? And the biggest thing I learned since I retired, and I think this is maybe worth the price of admission for this situation, is that patients have they have a difficult time understanding physicians, and they kind of hold them up on this pedestal. And so there's an automatic barrier between the patient and the physician, and patients don't necessarily feel comfortable. On the golf course, it's mano a mano, and I'm the same as you, and you the same as me, and you could have been a bus driver, you could have been a fireman, you could have been anything, and we're all about the same. And so then there's a little bit of foul language that gets thrown in there. So it becomes a real life situation. And I learned that patients are pretty frightened of doctors, and they're very frightened of anything bad being told to them about their health care. They are scared to death. They'll go get lab done. They'll go get it done, and they'll give up blood, 5 or 6, 10 tubes of blood. And the nurse will call them 3 or 4 days later and say, Dr. X, Y, and Z has looked at your blood, and I'm here happy to report everything is good. Patients don't want to hear anything more than that.
Right.
They don't want to know if it was really good or not good, but they heard what they really wanted to hear, that everything was good.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that I won the prize because that doorbell's going off. No,
it's not that.
no.
Go ahead.
So the issues are that if I could then offer them on a scale that's equal with them some information about making them their own advocate,
Yes.
then I think that we could change healthcare. And healthcare is a abysmal process in the United States right now. It is terrible. And the whole process is bad. Insurance companies are bad, and the government's view of healthcare is bad. We've had this whole process of taking care of patients. You have a problem? We can fix the problem. But nobody for 30 or 40 years has ever said, what if we tried to fix the problem before you got the problem?
Yeah.
And that's kind of been my whole stuff. All of my medical career has been preventative. It's now just beginning to inkle in the world of medicine. And diabetes is actually the reason for that. We have 38 million diabetics in this country, and we have 118 million pre-diabetics. That's half the country.
That may or may not know they are.
That's correct. And the reason for the situation is that going to prevention is because if we let half the country become diabetics, there's no saving the people and the finances that go with that.
Right. I would guess that it's one of the most costly diseases that's being treated currently.
In 2018 is $327 billion for the disease, one disease, diabetes. And 2022 was $415 billion.
That's phenomenal.
That's a lot of money. That's a lot. That's a lot of suffering,
Yeah.
and it's a lot of money.
And I think you've told me before, because since you have changed my life, and I want to thank you for helping me and being there with me and teaching me. I think that you told me that most people don't even know they're diabetic until they've probably been a diabetic for 10 to 15 years.
Yeah, if you took 118 million pre-diabetics, 70% have no clue that they are pre-diabetic. And if you took the diabetics that are 65 years of age or older, 1 in 4 don't know that they're diabetic.
No.
And most of the time, it's very interesting for people 65 years of age or older, if they are found, sometimes they're found to be a diabetic after they have taken a fall and they've broken their shoulder or their hip. And it's at that time they're diagnosed as a diabetic. They had a hypoglycemic episode that caused their fall.
That would mean they had a low blood
They
sugar.
had a low blood sugar issue that was critically low. They went unconscious and they fell and they broke something. And so that's a real life situation.
And I think if you would be willing at some point, we might want to continue some of this and talk about some of the treatments that you're aware of,
Absolutely.
because I think you've made it very plain to me, and I think to the people that you've helped here in our community, that there are lots of treatments coming out that are better than anything we've had in the past, because we had the same treatments for the last, 40 years, 30 years?
Yeah. And the rationale behind all of that is that we're learning so much in the last 10 or 20 years. We learned so much about diabetes and its relationship to atherosclerosis and cardiovascular disease, that so many people and so many doctors think of diabetes as a sugar disease, whereas diabetes is really a cardiovascular disease. And so you need to move the treatment from just treating sugar to treating cardiovascular.
So just the blood sugar is not enough to be looking at?
No. I mean, if you really want to be controlled, you have to get rid of inflammation. And inflammation comes from high cholesterol, comes from smoking, comes from high blood pressure. It comes from obesity, and comes from inactivity. So unless you have all those components and the sugar part of that all controlled, then you don't have your diabetes
And
controlled.
it's very hard to sustain all of that without.
Yeah, and the issues are some of the new medicines really do a lot of those things for you, and so that's what makes it so special. That's why they reduce the incidence of heart attack, stroke, sudden death, atrial fibrillation,
And helps protect the kidneys, I think you've told me too.
kidneys, liver. Almost all of those things are related, and if you have medicines that take care of that, you can reduce the incidence of bad things happening and extend life and a good quality of life. And that's everybody's going to die, but the issues are you'd like to have a good quality of life 1, 2, 5, 10 years after you maybe retire or whatever. So
You know, your passion has helped so many, and you're still so passionate about reaching out to people. So if anybody was listening to this, which maybe they won't, maybe just you and I are sitting here talking, but if they did, I guess they could comment or have a question, then maybe you could.
yeah, I mean
address it.
that's on the website. They can put a comment in, and we'll probably get back to people and do that. We're not looking for any patients. I'm not looking for patients.
Well, you're retired. You're a golfer.
I'm a golfer. I'm not looking for patients. I don't have anything to sell. Okay, I'm not. There's no vitamins, minerals, herbs that are going to make
So
anybody.
we might think of that later.
No.
No. Okay.
Yeah. And this is an educational website. that has no strings attached to it. So there's nobody's supporting this site. Nobody's paying for the site other than myself and my wife. We're paying for it, and it's intended to be to help people
And
understand.
again, that is www.fatdiabetic.com.
And why did I say fat diabetic? Because
Exactly why.
86% of the people who are diabetic are either overweight or obese. And so this relates to that disease process. And it was kind of I thought maybe a catchy name that people could throw
I
things
think
at.
it's rather catchy. And so, what parting words would you like to leave today?
Thank you.
Well, no,
Thank you.
I need to thank you for being willing because you're the first victim for me.
No, but this is just the beginning. This is something that is going to make Mary have a little fun.
Well, it is so much fun because I get to learn. And since my memory's not the best, I can go back and look at the video and remember where you went to school and whatever, see?
There you go.
And then if I ever really needed to blackmail you, you haven't said anything I could use, but maybe in the future.
It could be. I mean, it could be that, when we're not on the video, that there is the video still on. Who knows?
Wait, and our videographer, is that the right word? Is John. And John is, can we just put the camera on you for just a minute so people can see who you are? And he
Hello.
was done this just to help.
Came a long way to help.
A long way, yes. And he is working now at Prodigy School. It's a Christian-based school in Cape Girardeau, and he is now doing their videos and their website and all the wonderful things that they're going to have too.
And that's Cape Girardeau, Missouri.
Cape Girardeau, Missouri.
Missouri.
I've always said Missouri.
Well,
60% of the people say Missouri, 40% say Missouri.
and so, John, thanks for doing this. I might be capable of learning. I'm not sure. You may have to just keep coming back. I don't know. But anyway, thank you for doing it. Do you want to ask any questions or say anything?
I don't think so. I think this looks pretty good. It's about 20 minutes, which is a good length for like a podcast episode.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, because I need a drink with this Diet Coke that's sitting down here on the floor right now. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Ho. Is he on?